Hello friends and welcome back to Figure Study, where we are back with Tobots again. I'm sorry if you're sick of it, but this is probably going to keep going for at least a couple more months because I've got a fair number of them now. But anyway, we are back with Tobot V Rocket. And this is the only Tobot from Tobot V that I have that is not a combiner of some sort. To get this out of the way, and don't worry, we'll come back to this, here is the toe key. Normally I do avoid accessories, but in this case the toe key is kind of, it's not necessary, I'll get into that later, but it's a big part of the gimmick, where you turn the thing into a key, and then that unlocks the transformation, and it's a gimmick that I kind of hate. At least when the toe key is like just a gimmick lever, basically. If it's incorporated into the robot and vehicle mode, I don't mind it at all because it's got somewhere to go, but this kind of bugs me because like it looks good. The toe key is an owl, and that is a very intense owl face there. The coloring is simple, but it works. You know, it's white with just a little bit of black in just the right places to separate out the details of that head, and it's got really piercing looking eyes. But there's nowhere for this to go in shuttle mode. Like, you can kind of balance it on top there, kind of like that, but then it doesn't really want to... Yeah. That bums me out. Anyway, to transform this into the key, all you do is fold the wings up, and there you go. Yeah. As I said, I think these kinds of toe keys are a bit annoying. But anyway, on to the shuttle, and the shuttle looks good. I like this. This is like this strange combination of like somewhat based on reality sci-fi and like, I guess, never gonna happen type design cues. It's got some of the design here is very reminiscent of a typical Earth shuttle, in that it's got like a vaguely similar shape with like the narrower midsection going out to like the tapered nose with the larger wings on the back. The color cues are very similar in that it's predominantly black and white. Going by the size of those windows, a much bigger version of that. And that's fine. It's, you know, it's just, it's a little bit, a little bit like, let's say, future hopeful. I don't necessarily think we'll get shuttles like this in the future, but what it is looks cool, and it's evocative enough of something that's familiar that you can immediately tell what it is. There's a lot of little things about this shuttle that I like. One of the things I'm not a fan of is the fact that for some reason there's brick texture here. I don't really know why. But there are a lot of other really nice little textures in here that you can kind of make out all along here. And particularly, I like the nose on this shuttle. I like the fact that it kind of cuts in like that. I don't know why. It's just a nice little design element. And yeah, I mean, it's, you know, there's not a whole lot else to say about it. It's a shuttle. It does, you know, it looks like a shuttle. There are little bits of color here to add to the black and white, which are predominantly for robot mode, but there's some gunmetal-y looking coloring on the wings here. Not sure why it's just here, why they couldn't incorporate it into the rest of the shuttle body, but whatever. And he's of course got these enormous boosters on the back, and a not particularly well hidden head. I've got things to say about this, which we'll get to in robot mode, but yeah, it looks good. I like the big boosters. It works. You know, it's a simple transformation, but it does work, and I like this shuttle quite a bit. The tail fin's a bit dinky, but eh. Funny enough, and I'll probably bring this up in robot mode too, but the thing that bugs me with the boosters is like this bit in the middle here. I wish they had made that black so that it would match with the smaller side boosters there. And I don't know why they didn't, because this is a separate piece of plastic, so it could have just been molded in black, and that would have been all you need. So I don't know why they did that, but whatever. Anyway, that is enough harping on my general like of the shape of the shuttle mode without going into any real specifics, because I'm apparently getting really bad at this. Here we have Rocket with our Siege Deluxe, and as you'd expect from a Tobot, he's a biggin'. And also, as is typical of Tobots, he totally dwarfs Duck Tank. Alright, so transformation. Let me readjust this At the very least, I need some more height on this thing, because yeah. And as is typical, I will be doing the transformation on camera, or not on camera, you know what I mean. I'll be doing a transformation normally walking through it as opposed to speeding it up, because these things are relatively simple. So just flip that in first and foremost. And now I want to go over the toe key now, because like the whole point is you fold it up and it makes the key, you stick it in here, and then you turn it once, like you turn it about 90 degrees and the arms pop down. You turn it the rest of the way and the head pops up. And that's how that works. But then, like, let me just reset it here so you can see, like, that's how you can use the toe key. That's what the toe key is for, but it's not necessary because you can just stick your finger in there and just turn it yourself. So even, yeah, it's a semi-intrusive thing that has nowhere to go, and it isn't entirely necessary, but whatever. I'll just leave that down for now. Do the arms. So you want to fold the wings back so that there you can see it kind of goes in a little bit as opposed to sticking out. And then this will slide and click into place so that it cleans up the silhouette on the forearm a little bit. And then flip out the hand. And as you'd expect, the other arm is exactly the same. So slide it back. And this is awkward to do. There we go. And like that's a significant chunk of the robot mode already done. So next, I want to unclick this, and this will actually flip up. Then you can rotate this around. And you can kind of see where this is going, I think. So, straighten these out. There we go. And that's legs. Almost. It's like some kind of pogo thing. And then you can split the nose cone. I find it's easiest because this wheel is like a good gripping point and it's attached on one side. If you just kind of pull from where it's attached, it comes apart pretty easily. So it's a good place to get a grip. So open that up, rotate these around, and then these will collapse in and rotate up and click into place up there. And you can see here, that's where it kind of hinges in. It's this this brick texture thing kind of folds in. So that does that, and then you can flip out the feet and separate the legs and bring them out a click. And there, for the most part, is Rocket. And I'm sorry if at any point the audio starts going out or my voice sounds too soft. Because there's a certain gray cat sitting behind me, I have to sit really weird, and that's affecting the stability of the microphone and how close I can keep it to my face. I'm trying. Anyway, as for the last bits of transformation here, you can leave this face shield down, and I'll get to that detail more when we get to like actually looking at details, but you know, flip it up for the most part to reveal the face, and that's the intended thing. Now, the head mohawk tail fin thing, the box art shows it just sticking straight up. Like, that is how the box shows it. That is how the character art shows it. However, he comes packaged with it folded down, and there is that hinge there too. And so it's like, I'm not entirely sure if this is how it's supposed to be oriented or if it's supposed to be like this. On the one hand, I like having that little extra step of transformation, and I don't think it looks bad with the little swept back tail. On the other hand, he's got some really interesting design elements going on here, and I feel like having this tail fin sticking off his head is like, it's weird looking, but weird looking in a way that I think complements the rest of what's going on here. I'm just not sure what the proper orientation is for this. I'm going to be leaving it up for the time being, but, you know, just showing you all that that is an option, so you can do that. Alright, now for the robot mode. The overall shape is good. I think for what he is and how simple the transformation is, he does a pretty good job of getting the kibble out of the way. It's pretty much just the wings on the forearms and the front of the shuttle on the sides of the legs there. And I don't necessarily mind this because it does kind of bulk his legs out a little bit and make it look a little bit like he's got Mega Man boots on at a quick glance. Granted, it's more like he's, if you look closer, it's just like he's got these little pods attached to the sides of his legs, but still, it's fine. And they actually, I'll show it more in detail when we, look at the details, but they actually have like boosters molded in there, so they actually have a purpose. Not functionally, but like imagination-wise. Anyway, I'm into the color scheme. Black and white, always a good combination, and then little hits of red here and there, little hits of yellow. And I like how the red and yellow is more evenly distributed. Like, you've got more red detail than yellow down here, but you do still have some yellow. And then you have more yellow detail than red up here, but you do still have some red. It mixes things up, but still keeps it balanced, which I like. And the thing that really got my attention with this guy, in addition to the goofy head fin, is the fact that I've never really seen a shuttle robot transforming toy thing that had the boosters front and center in the chest area like that. And I like this. I think it's cool how he's got the rocket boosters in the front of his shoulders as well as in the front of his chest. It looks pretty darn cool as far as I'm concerned. And this is also why it bugs me that this was made red. Again, if this was black, then it would match the other two, and I just think that would look better. And I don't understand why they didn't just mold this in black plastic. It's not like there isn't black plastic molded on this guy elsewhere. They did use black plastic. But whatever. The only real issue I have with this guy proportion-wise is the fact that he's got these... his arm out of the way there a little bit. You can see he's got these, like, thighs that are extremely short, and his knees are way up here when realistically they should probably be more down here. I mean, it's a Tobot, it's a simple thing. So it's not like, oh, this is a bad thing that you should avoid the toy for or anything like that, but it's a thing. This would probably bother me if he were a more complex figure, but he's a Tobot. He's just like a half step above Super Sentai, so it's fine. As for the detailing, it's a lot of the same detailing that was visible in Shuttle mode, but when it gets rotated around like this, you see other more interesting things. Like, oh, okay, one thing that's not visible in Shuttle mode, you've got molded detail on the inside of the leg here, and I am noticing so many of these little scuffs and marks where it looks like some of the red dye just kind of got away from them, and that's annoying. I did not notice this when I first got this guy. And I don't think this is anything that I did. I think he must have come like this and I just didn't notice it, but that kind of sucks. Anyway, I think the legs, like the boot section, looks pretty good from the side, actually. Like, it's got a nice shape to it, some nice little details, some color differences here and there. It's got some fun spiky knees. And on the back, he's got these sort of calf boosters, and then he's got ankle boosters, and underneath here he's got boosters, which are revealed once the shuttle transforms. So it's cool. It's like these little bits on the sides are kind of superfluous kibble, but at the same time they gave them a purpose by just adding boosters there. I feel like with that kind of a trick, it'd be easier to make some kibble a little bit more forgivable on official Transformers toys. Not, you know what I mean, on Hasbro and Takara Transformers. Not that these are unofficial, they're just not Hasbro and Takara and based on Transformers. And I thought I would be bothered by the wing kibble on the forearms, but really it's not that bad. I like how this slides back to kind of clean up the silhouette a little bit, because if you have it slid forward, it just kind of ruins the look of the forearm a bit. But when you slide it back, it cleans it up a lot nicer. I kind of wish that this could slide forward a little bit so that it kind of lined up with this more, but And then moving back in, you've got some molded detail on the thighs here, and of course in the pelvis area, some molded and painted detail. Molded and painted detail on the forearms. And that chest. The chest does look good. It's the only gripe I have is that could have been black. But I still like the designs here. I like the sky blue for, I guess, kind of lights. Don't really see that anywhere else, but I guess it's supposed to sort of mesh with the translucent blue that they use for some of the joints and stuff. I'm just guessing. And I like the black and orange X that goes across the chest there. And as I said, I like the boosters, that whole look that he's got going. And the head is another thing that I think is really cool that kind of drew me to this figure, because it's this big, bulky helmet with this flip-down visor. And it kind of obscures the face and everything. But what I like about this is the big, bulky helmet with the flip-down visor really makes me think of, like, a classic spacesuit. I don't know if it's specific to the US or not. Those are just the suits that I'm familiar with. But, like, you know, those big, bulky, large helmeted suits that have, like, the little, the gold flip-down sun shield visor thing. This is what that reminds me of. And I think that works, especially considering this guy turns into a space shuttle. That's kind of perfect. And the detailing is nice enough, too. You know, this is this little pipe bar thing in front of the chin there. Some nice color separation with the black, white, and red. I've already commented on the head fin. The face itself is fine. Generally, I tend to prefer mouth plates on my bots, but I feel like, given the fact that this is sort of designed to be like a helmet over his robot head, this actually works for me, I think, better. It's a weird mental thing, I don't know. And the detailing is nice too. He's got the sky blue eyes, the silver face, but then like the gunmetal for the forehead details, so the coloration there is just slightly different in a way that I think works. It is worth mentioning the articulation on this guy kind of sucks, specifically in the arms. I mean, I'm not a huge articulation person in terms of these figures, because as I said, in my mind, they're a half step above Super Sentai, so I don't really expect much. But the arms in particular bug me, because the only in and out movement you get is from the spring-loaded gimmick, which it's okay. I'm a little more bothered by the fact that the forward and backward rotation is so limited, like you can only rotate forward that far and only back that far. And then there's this. That's what really bugs me. Like there's this joint that you can bend the arm at to kind of straighten it out, but you've basically got straight with, you know, like you got straight or you've got slightly bent with this floopiness here. And I don't know. I feel like they kind of sacrificed a bit much for a gimmick that is kind of lame, but it's fine. It's, you know, all things considered, I don't really pose my Tobots, really. I don't really pose my Super Sentai figures, so it's fine. The most I do with this guy is I just bring his arms back a click, so it kind of looks like he's doing that heroic thrusting his chest forward pose. Now, before I do the size comparisons, I want to go over one thing involving the toe key. So, as I said, you don't really need the toe key for transformation. There's no place for it to store in vehicle mode, but I did find a way to store this in the robot mode. Not officially, but it works. If you separate the wings slightly, and there are these two tabs that you can kind of use to pry it apart. If you separate the wings slightly, there are these slots right behind his head over either shoulder that don't serve a purpose for anything, but they're just narrow enough that the wingtip of the owl can slide in there. And it doesn't really work from this angle, but from this angle, you can slide it in and it'll hold. So you can just kind of have the owl not perched, but like held over his shoulder like that. And that keeps everything together, keeps it out of the way, and that works. It also works just as well to throw the toe key in a closet and forget about it for a while because you really don't need it, but if you want to keep everything together, you do have an option. Also, it's an owl. I feel like maybe it would have been cool if they had some way for it to, like, you know, clip onto his shoulder or peg into his hand or something like that, sort of like, you know, like a Soundwave and Laserbeak thing. I don't know. Missed opportunity, but whatever. And I'm sure it comes as no surprise. He absolutely towers over Siege Deluxe because, you know, Tobots, these things are pretty much required to be enormous. Yes, I know there are Tobot minis, but regular Tobots, pretty much always huge. And he also dwarfs the duck tank. And I do believe that is going to do it for Tobot V Rocket. I do like this guy. I was a little bit on the fence about him when I first got him. primarily because I wasn't a fan of the gimmick and how it kind of made his arms pretty much useless, and the toe key thing, but I like the look of him enough that I'm glad I kept him around, because he is neat. It's an interesting idea of having this space shuttle that transforms into what could arguably be sort of like an astronaut robot form with the space helmet and all that. And here I am trying to wrap up, and I realized I forgot to talk about a couple other things. So, just going to rotate him around real quick so you can see he does have some detail in the back, and the back is hollow, but pretty clean. And in terms of the face shield, this is something that did kind of bother me. Like, I don't mind that they did the flip-down face shield. I actually kind of like it, but I kind of wish that rather than being this translucent blue color, that it was more of a solid color. I've actually been tempted to go in and try and paint this gold to, be more evocative of a spacesuit that I'm familiar with, or silver maybe, or something, because I feel like if this obscured the face entirely, it would work better, because it would hide it more in shuttle mode, and it would seem like a more viable face shield for him to flip down in robot mode. Because as it is, it's just this clear blue piece of plastic that goes over his face for no reason, and it's not like he needs oxygen or something, because he's a robot, so yeah, I don't know. I kind of want to go in and paint it myself, but small gripe. Anyway, as I was saying, I do like Rocket. There are a lot of little things to him that I think are cool, like the added details of the boosters on the insides of the front of the shuttle mode, so that when you turn him into robot mode, it looks like he can totally just fly under his own power, because he's got tons and tons of boosters down there. And I do, again, really like this interesting rocket, shuttle booster engine, whatever thing going on with his shoulders and chest. I just, could have been black. But that's enough about what I think. What do you all think of Rocket? Any of you out there who are into Tobots, have you been kind of eyeballing the Tobot V line, kind of not sure? Or if you are interested, of the ones you've seen, which one do you think is the coolest? Personally, I'm all about the combiners. I'm not, like, I'm okay with the individual bots, but in terms of Tobot V, I feel like the combiners are much stronger than the individual bots overall, and I will be getting to those. And also, where do you stand on toe keys? Because that's the thing. It just didn't need to be. It really didn't. At the very least they could do is incorporate some kind of way to store it in shuttle and or robot mode. But whatever your thoughts, please feel free to comment down below. I always enjoy hearing from you all. And while you're at it, also feel free to like or subscribe, or if you're feeling up to it, no pressure, but I do now have a coffee page, so if you're interested in buying me a coffee because you like what you see or you just want me to shut up about it, then there's a link down below for that as well. No pressure, though. Absolutely no pressure. The coffee thing is just a, if people are feeling so inclined, they can. I'm not trying to dump any expectations on you all. But any of those things would make me a happy Rob. And remember, art is more than meets the eye.